Hey, welcome back to Find Your Niche. It's Amber, and my special guest today is Lauren. Today we are going to talk about swim lessons, lifeguarding, certifications, and more.
We're covering WSIs and the whole world of aquatics. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So, to get us started, I'm just going to ask you how you got into teaching, because I know everyone's story on that is a little bit different.
Yeah, so I was actually on swim team since 4th grade, and I was really interested in helping out the little kids learn how to swim before they got to the swim team level. So my coach and the aquatics director asked me if I'd be willing to help out with that, and totally I was on board, so that's how I got into swim lessons.
That's really awesome. So for me, I know when I got into it, it was a little bit different than that, because my older sister actually really wanted to be a lifeguard, like as soon as she turned 15. And so when I came along several years later, I kind of just like followed in those footsteps and decided to do it, since she was already like kind of known by like that aquatics director and stuff, and they knew she had a younger sister. And so I just kind of rolled right into it with that. So next, how would someone go about getting into that WSI world if they wouldn't have that segue in like you and I did?
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend reaching out to your local YMCAs or even outdoor pools in the summer. They definitely have programs for lessons. If you reach out, they can get you involved in the WSI class, which can certify you to be a swim lessons instructor. And so you take the class, and you know, at first it might not be for you. You might think, yeah, I don't really know like what kind of age group I want to teach, but I would just say just give it a shot, because there's some really awesome things that happen in swim lessons.
That is some really awesome advice. So for me, when I'm teaching, when I'm doing those lessons, I know I really enjoy teaching the younger kids, the really little ones, because I love seeing that progression. I feel like with the older kids, a lot of times, it takes them a while, because at that point they're working a lot more on technique. So it takes them a minute to like get that down or be strong enough to swim as much as they need to. So for me, when I do those classes, I really, really enjoy those younger kids, toddlers, because I just think you see so much progress and you see it so fast. Amazing. When you see that first scoop or that first kick, it's just perfect. Or that first time you let go of them and they do a couple all by themselves. I just think that's so great. So I know that's not the same for everyone. So which levels do you really like teaching?
Yeah, so I started off teaching the little kids, and I did enjoy teaching little kids, but I feel like I really gravitated more toward the older kids, because it's awesome to see their technique improve. Because with the little kids, they're just doing little scoops and kicks, and it's not very technical. But since I'm on swim team, I really like seeing the progress of technique, because I know how difficult it is and how much hard work it takes to be really awesome at technique, and it makes me feel really amazing as a teacher to see all their technique improve as they move up in those higher levels. So I really enjoy teaching the older kids.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you're kind of speaking from experience there. Were you in this particular swim lesson program growing up?
Yes. So I actually started off, I did mostly all the lessons at the YMCA that I do swim team for. So yeah, I started off in the very small classes with my mom, aqua babies, aqua tots, things like that, and then I gradually moved up, and I eventually joined swim team. So that's how I...
Well, that's awesome. And now you're here teaching those little kids just like you.
Yes,
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for following along. In the second half of today's podcast, we are going to cover some facts about lifeguarding. All right, welcome back. So now we're talking about lifeguarding. We're going to cover all that for a little bit. did you teach lessons or did you lifeguard first?
So I did start off with lifeguarding, and then I moved into swim lessons probably a year and a half after that, I would say.
Okay, very interesting. When I started, I actually started with both of them at the same time, and it was kind of like a dual interview for both of them. So it's really interesting, the differences there. So for someone who might not know, how does the lifeguard shift on the day-to-day look?
So that is very different. I mean, depending on what time of the day you're working, different activities that are going on in the pool area, the shift can look very different. I've worked 4-hour shifts, I've worked 2-hour shifts. I usually guard during swim lesson times, and those are usually a 2-hour shift. And that's kind of how I got into swim lessons a little bit more. I was also asked, but I really liked seeing the kids in their lessons, and I thought it would be fun to be a part of that. But I've also guarded during family swim, which is also a really fun time. You get to see families interact with each other, and it's just really rewarding to be able to be there for them so that they can have a good time.
Absolutely. That is really, really awesome. So tell me about the responsibility aspect of your job. There's obviously a lot involved there. It's not just about seeing those families and just about seeing those kids. Like, you're really in charge of like their life, and if something goes wrong, like, you are the person that is going to be there first and really going to help them. So does that make you nervous at all, or just tell me about that?
It makes me a little bit nervous some days, but I know that I'm really well prepared for any scenarios that would happen. So you just got to remember to always be alert and just trust yourself if there were to be an emergency. I personally have never had to deal with anything very drastic, but you just always have to be prepared and be ready for something like that to happen.
Well, that is really good. That's awesome. So for the last question, this is a deep one, okay? Which one do you like more, lifeguarding or teaching swim lessons?
That is a tough one. I really like both jobs. I feel like overall, swim lessons would be my most favorite just because I love how involved you can get with each individual kid, and you can understand more about them, and I love how you see their growth and progress, but I also love lifeguarding and being able to be there for families. So yeah, overall I would say swim lessons, but I do love all aspects of my job.
Well, that is really awesome, Lauren. Thank you for joining me here today. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next week. Well, we made it to the end. Don't forget to tune in next week. We are going to cover working at an ice cream shop. You're not going to want to miss that one. Until then, don't forget to find your niche.